Hey everybody, it is Michael over at Arcade 92, and I wanted to share some cool stuff with you. Well, actually, it's not cool, but it's gonna become cool. So this is our Asteroids machine, and it has decided that it just wanted to stop working. We do actually all of our own repairs here at Arcade 92 for our own staff. Sometimes we'll have to bring in somebody who knows a little more than us. But generally speaking, we're able to handle bringing these things back to life and keeping them going. In the instance of this is our Asteroids machine, and for no good reason, it just decided to stop working one day. So we did a little bit of investigation, tried to figure it out, and found out that the actual board itself, pretty much the worst case scenario, is what's actually wrong with it. So we have backup boards, so that's good. And what we do is we bring in the backup board, and we have already sent out the board that's bad. And it's actually already fixed. So the cool thing is that we are already in a short period of time, less than a few days, we're about to have this back up and running again, and we have a backup again. So that's all really exciting. So the cool part of this video is I'm going to show you, I'm going to fix it like on this video, like right now, like live. So I hope it works. Anyway, a little bit about Asteroids though. So this game is as old as me. It is from 1979. This game was actually released in November of '79. So actually I'm a little older than this. The game before this one, right before this one, released by Atari in 1979, was called Lunar Lander, which was a kind of popular game, but not hugely popular game. So that was August of 1979, which is the same month and year that I was born. But in November, Atari released the next kind of space-themed iteration called Asteroids, and this was massively popular. Over 70,000 cabinets were sold throughout the US. People were pumping quarters in this thing like crazy. Most people, if you've heard of Pac-Man, you've heard of Galaga, a lot of people heard of Asteroids as well. It's just one of those things where even if you haven't played it, you've heard of it. This game also kind of stands on the shoulders of giants. There's this I consider myself somewhat of a gaming historian to some degree, but one of the odd things is there's this big debate about what was the first video game. One of the games that stands out is a game called Space War. It's actually Space War ! Or Computer Space. So a lot of people would give that to be credit to being like the first game. So that even came before Pong. Pong is one of the things that just made the arcade industry a reality, where people would actually pop quarters into machines to play them. That's kind of where Pong has that placement. But before then, there were a couple video games as well. Again, it's hard to define. The problem is it's hard to define what a video game is. For example, you can go back in the 50s and some guy had invented a tic-tac-toe to be played on a computer. So was that the first video game? Anyways, I'm giving you, I'm way off topic, but you see, it's complicated to say what the first video game was. But one of the game that is mostly credited by historians as being the first video game would be like Space War, Computer Space, and Asteroids is kind of the commercial version. If you saw Computer Space or Space War, you would swear it was Asteroids, where you were actually shooting at other ships as opposed to shooting at asteroids. But anyway, so this is a great game. This is a history-making game. It is the very cornerstone. It's pre-Galaga. It's pre-Pac-Man. So this thing is a big deal. Also, one of the unique things too is that it uses vector graphics as opposed to using pixels. So that's kind of a unique thing. Not a lot of games did that. Pixel was still kind of in its early phases back in 1979. So, okay, let's get to work. Again, all very fun information, but let's get to work. Let's get this bad boy working again. So, all right, so I'm gonna grab the board. So here it is. So when I say this is Asteroids, in reality, what I'm saying is, this is Asteroids. This is the Asteroids holder. This is actual Asteroids. So look at this. I'm going to hold it up against my chest here. So yeah, it's like all the way shoulder to shoulder, bigger than my face, right? So this thing is massive. Lots of little chips on here, and just to give you an idea, this is a matter of kilobytes. Okay, if you wrote a few paragraphs in an email, then in a modern day email, that's about the same storage space as this entire game that's bigger than my face, okay? So again, this is 1979, and remember, in 1969, we landed on the moon. So this is 10 years technology past the technology required to put to put a man on the moon, right? So there you go. All right, so I'm gonna back up the camera. I'm gonna turn this thing around. We're gonna hook this sucker up, and again, I'm hoping it's gonna work. So it should. But I'm gonna set this down and back up the camera. So bear with me here for just a moment. Very good. I want y'all to be able to see what I'm doing. So we put all of our machines on casters because they weigh about 250 pounds-ish, and that's just way too much. So sometimes you'll be at Arcade 92 and you'll be playing a game, and if it starts moving on you, like that usually is one of our staff members probably forgot to lock the casters back down. So if that happens, please let us know. But me just turning that machine like that is what allows us to be able to work on these machines pretty easily. So anyways, just a little side note, if that ever bothers you, just go tell one of the bartenders up at the bar. So, okay, so we want to make sure it's either unplugged or turned off. You don't want to mess with that. Okay, so very good, very good. So we're off, so we're safe there. So okay, I'm going to take the Asteroids board, and you can kind of see. I know you're not like close up, but there's somewhat lighting in there. But basically we have the monitor. This is the monitor up here, right? So really the arcade cabinet is just a holder, honestly. So you got your monitor up here, the power supply right here, which is bringing in direct current and making it kind of like an AC current, or I'm sorry, the other way around. To keep a good constant flow. So flip that around, the constant flow to the power to the board. And there's like, transformers and things like that down there at the bottom. So ultimately this is actually a pretty simple machine. There's really not a lot going on in here. And as you can see, it's mostly empty space, right? So, okay, so this is a cool thing. So this is referred to as the JAMA harness, okay? So this is a brilliant design. I mean, imagine this is all wires, right? So this is what's called a PCB, or principal computer board, where every one of these tiny little lines should be a wire. And could you imagine that giant mess? So the invention of a PCB really kind of changed everything that we know in computer today, whether it be video game or anything else. So, okay, so let's hook this baby up. So there's a little slot right here for it to slide into, but I forgot my screwdriver, and there's a little thing blocking it here. So I'm actually just gonna set it down right here. So normally, again, I would slide it in, but I left my screwdriver over there. And we're gonna plug in this JAMA harness, okay? So it's just gonna clip right here on the side. Always wanna make sure you put it in the correct direction. Okay. So let's rest that safely right here. All right, so PCB is hooked up. We'll turn this bad boy around. There we go. Okay. Let's check it out. All right, see if we're still powering up. Ah, yes. It's beautiful. Oh, there's too much light. Hang on. Let me try to angle us here so we can see it. I think you can see that. It works. Which, again, I don't mean to sound surprised, but of course, it worked. So it's time to play Asteroids again. Awesome.